spark that gets the fire going. Discipline is the logs that feed the fire. And how I tell people is, the funny thing about it is motivation and discipline have a brother and sister called interest and commitment. And
So, Charles,
what's up, Paul? How you doing, man?
it's been a long time coming.
I know. How many times have we probably spoke about doing this?
Like a lot of times.
I was supposed to be like one of the first few people to do this too. That's like,
well, you were the second. Well, you were the first.
Yeah.
Then Gavin went through because you weren't there.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, let's do Gavin.
And then
do it again.
And the best part is I could tell Will about it, who does my nutrition, and then you did them, and then Joe, who is my fucking coach, and then you fucking did. Yeah, so it happens. It happens, man.
Well, at least now we're freaking here. We're here. More energy today. Let's do this. Let's do it. So, you know what this is usually about, and I do love to hear people's side of the story. I mean, it could be a little bit about yourself, fitness related, but I want to focus more on you, who you are, Charles.
I don't even know who the fuck I am.
What makes you different? Well, it seems like I'm going to find out today. Let's do this.
Okay, let's go.
Introduce yourself, Charles.
I am Charles Vogel. Y'all can find me on Instagram at Charles_Swogel, which I'm sure Paul will put that within his video. But definitely. I am 33 years old. Grew up playing football in Texas. Typical stuff. Got into weightlifting at a very young age. Too many Arnold movies as a kid, and then anime Dragon Ball Z hit me in Toonami like my early teens.
Yeah.
Let's see. Joined the military. Still loved to bodybuild. I did powerlifting a little bit in high school. Injured my hand multiple times, and then bodybuilding in my mid-20s, and then powerlifting last year. Whenever I was getting ready for a bodybuilding show, and a buddy of mine's like, "Hey, come do this powerlifting meet," and I was like, "Okay, what's this about?" So went in and did really well, and now I'm like working into top level powerlifting, but I still like to maintain athleticism. So yeah, that is and a whole bunch of, I don't know, poetry. I could go into a million details about who I am, but I'm sure we'll just cover shit throughout the podcast. So
yeah, and we usually do when it comes to stuff like that. What positions did you play when you were playing football?
Oh God, I was the workhorse. Whatever the hell they needed, I did. I wasn't like, I'm only like 5'5" now, but I was probably like 5'3" then, like 160 pounds.
Manly.
Yeah, manly. But I was strong, freakishly strong and fast, so I could pretty much play any position. I played fullback, halfback, tight end, X receiver, nose guard, D tackle, defensive end, any of the linebacker, pretty much anything on defense I played, and special teams. I was a genuine workhorse. Yeah. If someone fucked up and I was out on the sidelines, they would throw me in and say, "Hey, go do this." So.
Well, I could see just from like all the positions that you named, you were like that one guy that everybody relied on. Which
yeah.
Has it been like that for you throughout like your entire life?
Yep. Yeah, I have been the Captain Reliable, I guess. I guess I've never thought about it that way. Like, I literally actually don't think I've ever thought about it until you just pointed that out. Yeah, no, military, I was hey, we don't know how to fix this. I'm sure Charles can figure it out. Go do this. Hey, I need to move. You want to come over? Yeah, sure, I got you. If I don't know how to do something, I'm going to figure it out. If I don't figure it out before I do it, I'm going to figure it out while doing it. So,
well, that's pretty nice. It's funny that you didn't really think about it that way, because usually we interact every so often, and you're a very reliable person. So I just figured, I'm sure he was like that. And then when you talk about the fact that he played football and he had like all his positions, I was like, okay, this is kind of legit now. Interesting. Let's say you're a reliable person, right? What things in your life experience kind of started that attitude towards being reliable, or just overall just being who you are as a person? Like, what started that? What's your
Honestly, I don't know. I think that might have been one of those things I was just blessed with, because now that you've mentioned it in that way, that's kind of just always been me for literally as long as I can remember. So the only thing I can think of is, and it's something, I tell people to this day, like why I tend to try to be very unconditional with who I am and be the person to reach out and help anyone. I don't have to know you, but if I see someone going through issues or something, I try to help people. Is the idea that I tell people I try to be who I wished I had as a kid. So ultimately, I try to be the person that people can turn to when they need someone at any moment. So man, that's actually like I'm like really thinking about that right now. Like I've always been that person, but I don't think it never clicked until you said like, "Oh, you've always been that reliable person." Like, because you and I have had many conversations, but it's funny now that you say like, "Oh, in high school," it's like, man, I've always been put in leadership positions. I don't know. Like, I'm sure that would trace back to childhood, creating that. I was always like a captain of a team in Little League football too. So I don't know. Maybe it's just confidence, the energy I carry. Man, that's fucking weird. I've had a lot of conversations, and that one's really just like hit me right now. Like I've never thought about that. Yeah, I never thought about it in that way. Like I've always told people, like growing up, like all the shit that I've been through, household, that I was raised in. I've always wanted to just.
Don't have to go too in detail.
Yeah. Didn't no dad being raised. Luckily, I was blessed enough to have not my biological grandfather, but my grandfather through marriage. But that was my grandfather my whole life. That's all I knew.
Yeah.
Then he like passed away when I was 17. But I didn't have that. Going over like friends' houses, seeing the connection they had with their dad. I didn't really have that. And then at home with my mom, a lot of drinking and stuff like that as a kid. A lot of other pretty dark stuff. Yeah, just a general consensus that you could think of isn't the best situations. I mean, it wasn't. I don't want to say it was bad, but it could have been better. When I dive into some details with people, they think it's bad, but I can't say that completely because of what I've ultimately come out. Like the beauty behind going through all that darkness is it's shown me what not to be, and it's taught me how to be a light for others. So I regret nothing. I mean, if I had to go back, I would do it again. It's made a lot of shit very difficult. But the cool thing about that is having not having that support growing up with family and stuff. Like it felt like it was, but then when you look back, like it wasn't. It's taught me a lot of just pure willpower. Like you I don't know. It's the same as like a video I posted today doing Superman push-ups. People are like, how do you do that? Like my handstands, how do you do that? And I'm like, I literally just do something until I do it. I go, oh, like I don't think anything is impossible in life. It's just improbable. It's a matter of how many times am I going to roll the dice till it gets there. So, yeah. But childhood, man, that was just.
I mean, it's a lot to think about, but I think I do know why you got that whole reliable thing. I can tell you, I could be wrong, but I'm also assuming because I would say I basically went through the exact same thing where I didn't have much of a reliable parental guidance in life. And I think not having that experience growing up as a kid, you kind of have to like start relying on yourself a lot more. And then you also hold people to that standard where they have to be reliable. If they're reliable, you're also reliable as well, unless they're not, because I'm sure due to the parental experience that you've had, there wasn't much someone relying on you, or you relying on someone. So I think that's kind of where that stemmed from, because you understand what it's like to go through that, and you don't want people to be able to feel that way where they're not reliable. But I could be wrong.
No, that's I mean, that's pretty much a roundabout way to go about it. It's the not having the reliability through that. Like I did have my grandfather, and I had my grandmother around and my mom, but it's like I didn't have that reliable father figure. Like I didn't have that, because at the end of the day, I've told anyone, like, it takes a woman to raise a girl into a woman, and it takes a man to raise a boy into a man. Like, a mother can help raise a boy into a man, but there's just things a mother can't teach him. It's the same thing. I could raise a daughter to be a really great woman, but it takes another woman to teach her how to be a woman, because I'm a dude. At the end of the day, and that's the reality of it. I think a lot of people will miss out on. So yeah, maybe it's just the no reliable, constant father figure, and I became self-reliant. I mean, there was times when I was younger where I'd always ask why to like everyone around me, and they just would tell me to stop because they didn't have any answers. So I would just seek the answers myself. So
I feel like I'm psychologically reading you, but it's pretty interesting. But yeah, right. But I'm gonna get on the reliable thing, and I'm just gonna hop off on it and just go to a different topic.
Yeah.
So, to end it all, it seems where your reliable thing came from is the fact that you experienced that, and you know what it's like, that you end up in a way had to kind of rely on yourself to be a man, because you didn't have someone there to be like, hey, this is how you need to be and stuff like that. I mean, they could teach you a boy how to be a man, but then eventually once you leave your mom or your dad or parents or whatever, at the end of the day, they're not there to guide you anymore. And when that happens, you just have to kind of fly away.
No, that's funny. I've actually told people about that before. Is like, you always see those guys. Like, I had my grandfather till I was like 17, then he had passed away. Mm-hmm. So I had somewhat of a guidance on like how to be a man and aspects that I learned from him. Mm-hmm. But you always see dudes like in their 20s, like as they go through like, your early 20s crisis is, typical shit like finances and like learn about that stuff. They turn to their dad like, man, I'm struggling with this. How do I do that? Okay, man, this is how I did it. And then like their late 20s, I'm struggling with this. I'm dealing with that. They still have that like father figure to teach them those aspects. But for me, it's kind of been like, I'm going to slam my head against this wall until either my skull breaks or the wall breaks. So yeah, trial and error at the end of the day. So
definitely. What was it like in high school? What were you like in high school or in grade school?
I was I've always been a person like I don't like belonging to anything specifically. I mean, I was always considered more of a jock, I guess, back then, but I'd always hang out with my goth friends or the gangster type people or the outcasts. I don't know, just your typical like high school groups. I would hang out with anyone. I didn't care. Like, to me, it was like I've never been a surface level person. Like, I don't. Your surface level image speaks a little bit about you, and that can push me away depending on what it is. But ultimately, it's how you carry yourself is what. And I can pick up my energy pretty well. So I always know whenever people are wearing a fucking mask, which honestly most of society wear a mask. So yeah.
Well, in today's world, not like literally speaking, but kind of metaphorically and literally speaking.
Yeah. Right now, people are literally the ironic. Okay, not to dive too much in that. I think that what cracks me up about the idea of wearing masks right now, like it's already been proven that it does nothing. It does nothing. People are like not just wearing a surgical mask; they're wearing masks to like identify as themselves. Like they're wearing like how I wear like goofy socks. People wearing masks with certain. I'm like, why? You're literally like you're reducing your identity, and it's a way of like self-expression. I'm like, it's a fucking mask.
Well, the weird thing about that, I've dived into some few body languages, and the one thing that I've kind of realized is like when you're getting someone that kind of when you don't want somebody to say something, you find a way to kind of like close your mouth, your body, like kind of your language will kind of make this. Like if you lie, you're just gonna be like, oh, or if you say something. You're just going to be like, oh, and just kind of like just block your mouth so you don't say anything.
Yeah.
And it's weird when you look at it like that. And from today's perspective, how everyone's wearing masks and how there's like so much stuff going on. But like psychologically, once you put that mask on, you cover your mouth, You can't say anything.
No, it would. I won't dive too much into China, but they literally like
They have the exact same thing.
It takes away the voice. It takes away. It removes your identity. You all look the same. But there's a lot of the facial features like this right here isn't going to tell you a whole lot about people. It's the full thing is what it does. So this is literally removing identity, and that's what it is. But yeah, I mean, you and I have dove down that rabbit hole a few times.
It's quite a few times, but yeah,
we won't do that on here. We won't do that on here.
We won't. But definitely, I can definitely see how you're able to like pick people up of like who they are based on like how much authenticity that they show versus so I can see why you're a pretty well-known guy and you kind of got along with a lot of people, especially in school. When did you start lifting again?
Oh God, the very first time I touched weights, I think my brother, like old school bench press, like the ones where like it's this thin, like the thin metal bars, like with sand, like plastic weights with sand inside.
I actually got some of that in my living room.
Probably, yeah. Like the old school ones, though. My brother, I think he was like 13, so he's 6 years older. So what? I was 7 at the time. I think like even back then, I benched like people on a bench press, and I benched like my body weight or more. Then. So I don't know. Growing up as a kid, like I was told, like there's like baby photos of me with like you can see like ab definition and stuff. Like I just was, yeah. Genetic little baby.
Well, that's fine. We all can't be 6'1".
Yeah. God's like, you're gonna be a manlet, but I'm gonna make you a freak athlete.
Yeah, you're strong as hell. Or in terms of like, you're gonna be a manlet, but it's okay. Everybody else you compete against is about the same height as you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, especially in powerlifting.
Nobody telling you that like you don't belong certain places.
No, I don't.
Genetics kind of just tells you where you need to be, and it directs you to that specific point.
Yeah.
Not to kind of cut myself, but this is going to be like this. But like track athletes, you don't see them picking up swimming and being and excelling in swimming.
No. You wouldn't see like Michael Phelps.
Yeah.
Jump in the weight room and be like an amazing powerlifter. It's just
not going to happen because his genetics isn't the aptitude for something like that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
It's funny when I thought about this like a while ago. I was just like, I could have done cross country, but I was a fast sprinter, so I didn't do cross country. Yeah, I felt a lot better in sprinting and jumping and doing stuff like that than trying to do cross country.
You excelled. It's funny you say that because like I was actually a really good sprinter in high school, and I remember a couple of years ago when I was getting ready for the Europa in 2017 in Dallas. Like I leaned out, like I've shown people like the photos of like me starting like 19 weeks out, and then I show people like the starting photos and another set of photos, and I always ask them like, how many weeks apart do you think they are? And they're like, oh man, you must be like 5-6 weeks out, and I'm like, yeah, I'm actually 14 weeks out. So like, it looks like I did a 10-week transformation in like 4.5 weeks. And the coach I had at the time he had never really worked with someone who was an athlete, and I'm not like young, like I'm 33. So I was like 26, 27. Wait, fuck, I can't even do math right now. 29. Yeah, 29. I literally just jumped back. Dude. I'm like, time is just like so weird now for my head. So, but no, I did that. And then a friend of mine who's actually a really pretty big nutrition, Nathan Payton, he does nutrition for World's Strongest Men, Brian Shaw, and Martin. He was talking to a buddy of mine about it, and because I dropped that coach, and a buddy of mine was talking to Nathan about it. He's like, what do you think was wrong with him? And like he messaged me, he's like, hey man, were you a sprinter in high school? I'm like, yeah. Would you run your 40? And I was like, I ran like a 4.40 in high school. And he's like, yeah. He's like, well, Nathan said that made sense. And I was like, why? He's like, you're not a strong deadlift. I was a fast sprinter. I was explosive, like a lot of fast twitch muscle fibers, like very predominant fast twitch muscle fibers. So
welcome to being black.
Huh?
Welcome to being black.
Yeah. Who knows? So who knows who my dad was? Maybe. Because my mom doesn't know. But yeah, no, it's just I don't know. But I've also it's so funny. I was talking to someone the other day, And it's almost like any sport I've ever done, I've been able to like pick up and do well. The first time I ever wanted to like wakeboard, I just popped up. First time I ever wanted to ski, I pop up. Like I just that natural athlete. Like I could do other things. You know, I did well in long distance running, not super long distance. I mean, it's a mile and a half, but I think the fastest mile and a half I ever ran in the Navy was like 7:40-ish. Yeah, I was fine.
I don't think I count, but when I was in grade school, fastest mile was 6 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I trained a lot to push that mile and a half down to.
Was it like wait? What's the difference between military a mile versus regular mile? Is there anything that makes it difficult, or you just straight?
Oh no, well, it was a mile and a half for me. So,
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, no. That's still miles about 4 minutes. Yeah, so about half. Yeah, about 2:30. Yeah, I mean it's still a fast mile and a half, 7:30. Yeah. So the way I ran it was up in Washington. It was just we had this strip on the side of the island, and you just ran down to a certain point and ran back. So I would do max push-ups in like a minute, max push-ups in a minute, max sit-ups in a minute, which I would just relax. And they'd be like, "Oh, you can do more." I'm like, "I don't get any more points."
Yeah.
I was always a max. Normally, I do max and relax, but when I wanted to go SEALs, I wanted to push my run a little bit faster and try to see how good I could do. But yeah. So I mean, it's one of those. I think I looked at someone like David Goggins, and he's one of those. Was a huge dude. Literally never ran before. Ran like 100 miles on a marathon in like 17-something hours, 18 hours, and it's one of those situations like. I think your body can literally do anything if you don't think you can. Like, if you think you can do it, you can. It doesn't. You might break yourself along the way, but you can still do it.
You know what's funny about that? Greg Doucette was making a video about what's his name, Goggin.
Yeah.
So he was making a video, and in the video, the conversation was mainly like, do you think willpower is genetics?
Yeah.
Think about it, because I mean, David Goggin seems to have really fucking great willpower. Like the stuff.
Yeah, and insurmountable amount of willpower. It's just insane. Like,
it's like, and then there's also people who are just like, oh, I'll never do that. I can't ever do that. They just don't have that willpower to just excel in something.
I think what it is, it's just the idea, like, one of my poems, like, I wrote, I think it's like Uncomfortably.
Have you been putting on your Facebook yet? I mean, not your Facebook, on your Instagram?
I have a poetry account.
Oh, okay. Post your Instagram.
I could, man. I was posting, like, I was taking a lot of them from my poetry account and sharing them to my story.
Yeah.
And people never really understood that it was me writing them. They just thought I was sharing poetry on my page. And I don't want to like share too much like just poems to like my actual page. Because that's what I use like my poetry account for. But I mean, I plan on getting it published eventually. It's just a lot of going on. So I'm pulled in every direction of what I'm wanting to do, because I'm that person. I don't just do one thing. I do many things at one time.
Which is good. That's a really good trait to have. I was going to say something. I actually completely lost track of it.
Shit.
But
willpower, or was it back on the topic of willpower?
It's not back to the willpower.
Okay.
But, I think I was just going to ask you, where'd you go to college?
So, man, like, I got out of the military and I did a little bit of college in Portland, Oregon. After I moved there, about a year afterwards, moved back, and I've done a little bit of college at Lone Star, but I haven't even finished my associates, which I plan on going back probably after I finish my massage license. I'm gonna go back and finish a degree, possibly. I don't know. I think people put too much weight into the paper, and it's funny, like, as I've sat back throughout life and I've spoken to people who are formally educated, they feel very indoctrinated versus actually educated. I'm like, I get what you're saying. Like, I see the research, but this person right here literally just did the exact opposite of what you said. And they're like, well, research. I'm like, this is proof that your research isn't for everybody. It's not. So
anecdotal doesn't work like that.
yeah.
You gotta like research.
So,
it just sucks though. But there's things that just are not backed by research, and it's just like, it's weird.
Well, it's the idea of people that, you and I've had conversations about very well-known individuals on social media that that have a lot of fans and a lot of people who are just dick riding, is what I say, because they don't know anything. They don't have a lot of experience, and these people will say, you know, based off my research and my experience, like, this is the best way to do something, or this is crap. Here's my PhD. And I'm like, that's cool. I get your PhD. There's going to be someone who says, dude, I've done everything you've told me to do and it's not working. Well, then you're not doing it right. And you're like, no, motherfucker, that person is an outlier. So when you do that research and there's always like things in the research that didn't line up, that's one of them. That's one of those people. And you need to be not indoctrinated to be like, oh, here's my piece of paper. World is this. Like, you need to say, okay, what about this person is doing that? And I think that's what separates really. I'm not denying these people are really good at what they do. They just, when you become so good at what you do, and everyone tells you how good you are at what you do, you get very biased and narrow-minded. It's the same thing I think you and I have talked about. Like, people have told me to go do bodybuilding or go back, and I might, just for shits and gigs. But the idea of the reason why I love powerlifting over bodybuilding is, with powerlifting, there's not a whole lot of subjectivity. It's, I show up, I put up the weight, there you go. You know, you might have some people that say, oh, okay, the judges didn't, you know, do depth right at some meets or something like that, which is why I compete with USPA. They tend to be the most, you know, stringent about the rules and regulations. But in bodybuilding, it's like, you could show up like super shredded and be the only super shredded guy there, and the judges might be like, we don't really want that shredded look. We're looking for a little bit more fuller, a little bit softer. You could show up the next time with a little bit softer, and the judge is like, oh, you know what? We wanted something like really shredded. Oh, you're too big for this class. You look, and I mean, I've seen it with people before, and I've seen the responses from judges that like someone might be too big for their class, and I'm like, that dude literally clearly had like the best body on that stage.
You know what I think is wrong with that?
What
I think is wrong with that, it's subjective.
Yeah, it's way too
subjective sport that literally has all the regulations, all the rules of what the judges are looking for is not the same across the board.
No, it's not.
You could have like 4 judges. One person would look at somebody else and like, I like that look.
Yeah.
You know, like, okay, cool. Another person would like look at the other person and be like, you know, his biceps too small. And they're like, cool, on to the next one, and gives them like different opinion. It's not like they come together.
No.
To just, like, form like whatever it is that the rules that they set. They don't really follow that.
And I think it was Cedric McMillan made a video about that a couple of years ago, how he didn't like that about the sport. But yeah, so it's that idea of how we're speaking about, you know, people being narrow-minded because people are always like dick riding. It's the idea of what I enjoy about powerlifting is when people give me compliments, it's not necessarily just based off this. It's based off, dude, okay, man, like that squat was badass, that was strong as shit, or like, dude, your form is really great. Like, so it's not feeding so much into the body image as it is like feeding into the work and effort. And when you look at that from a psychological standpoint, like people in bodybuilding, like a lot of their social media relies heavily on just a physical aspect, like how they look. And when that's constantly getting told to someone like, oh, you're the best looking, blah, 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 like just constantly over and over and over and over, that just feeds the ego exponentially. It's just, it's so crazy how much that feeds. You might have some of that in powerlifting. It's not that big, but with powerlifting, it's pretty dope. Like, I've met some of the,
or you don't.
Huh?
It's like in powerlifting, it's like you have the numbers.
Yeah.
Where in bodybuilding is like you have all these different opinions.
Yeah, exactly, and it's an opinion. So, and when you're told like how great your work is, like that shit builds confidence. So, man, I was blessed enough to last year to do the tribute, which was like at the time one of the higher paid out meets. You know, it was an international level meet. Yuri Belkin was there, like the highest Wilks in the world. Dan Bell, Steve Johnson. I competed at 181, and it's my second meet. So I rolled in, and it was like, you know, I had some okay numbers. Like I was like, whatever, you know. And I roll in, and it's like the top people in the world in their respective weight classes. And it's like I get a chance to meet John Hack, who's with like the Strength Cartel, Iron Rebel. He's like Bilbo Swaggins 181 on. Well, it's just funny how he's a 198 competitor. But I watched this guy like literally do a 2K, a 2,000 pound total at 181. And it was just like, here I am with my 1675, and I'm like these dudes are like opening up with like my matches, and it's so humbling because I mean I've always trained around people like 60, 70 pounds heavier than me, and I'm like, well, if they can do it, why can't I? So in a sense, like getting thrown into that level of competition, like it didn't like knock me down like, well, I'll never be strong. It was almost like an instant like,
you have to
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do better. And I remember like sitting there after the meet, after they went through and John took best lifter for Raw. He had hit like a 600 Wilks score, which is insane, Raw. And I'm sitting there, and like the Strength Cartel is like, because they had recorded the entire meet. And I remember like Big Boy was talking to his buddies about, yeah, man, I don't think anyone's gonna break this total like anytime soon. And I looked over at him, and I was like, I'm gonna give it 2 years before I break that total. And my mindset was like, dude, okay, I just did a 1675 total, and I'm like, in 2 years, I'm gonna break 2,000 pounds. But it's because of that mentality that we were speaking about earlier. It's like, if I see someone doing something, my mind is like, it's not impossible. Like, I'm going to do it. So, yeah. And here I am, hopefully. I mean, now I'm in wraps versus raw, which raw sleeves, and wraps is just, knee wraps, classic raw. I'm hoping, because I got a meet in 7 weeks, I'm pushing for a 1950 total, which is pretty good for my first year in powerlifting. Yeah. So
that's
it's a lot of weight. I know.
It's a lot of weight.
Yeah, it is.
So that begs the question. You speak so passionately about powerlifting, and like you're always so like excited about it. What got you into powerlifting?
Honestly, it started as a kid, like my sophomore year in high school. I think because I was strong. Like I was just a strong kid. I think one of my coaches like talked me into powerlifting, and my first powerlifting meet my sophomore year, I remember being like a 3-way tie. Like I was in the 148s at the time, and it was a 3-way tie between me and 2 of the dudes, and I weighed less, so I beat them. Then every meet after that, I had won by like 100 pounds or more. And then junior year, the same thing. And then I hurt my knee like the second meet before regionals and didn't advance to state. And then my senior year, I broke my hand and had broke this hand. So actually broke it on the growth plate across my thumb. It was the metacarpal my sophomore year. And then my junior year, and then my senior year, I broke these 2 1/2 across the metacarpals. And after that, I couldn't, my grip was just dead because I'd have pins in it. But so I gave up powerlifting my senior year. And then I joined the military a year after that. And then I couldn't, my grip was never really there for the longest time. So I was like, I'll never do powerlifting. I was like, but bodybuilding's pretty dope. And I've always been a big fan of Franco Columbu. So that dude was crazy strong and just had crazy physique and a massive back. So that was always my thing is that. But powerlifting, the moment I got back into it, it was just the idea of I've always loved lifting heavy weights. And it was probably the little man syndrome a lot growing up. It's if I'm going to be small, I'm going to be stronger than everybody. So, which it's just funny how it carried over in life because it's when I look at some of the stuff that I do, I don't find it impressive because it's something that I just do on a daily basis. But when I post some of the stuff and people are like, dude, or I'll like be in gyms and I'm just like working out like myself, and I'll see people like look at me and I'm like, they're like, how did you do that? I'm like, dude, I literally kept doing it until I got there one day, and I just had a hunger. It's like, the video I posted recently, the first time it was like, Luke just passed away recently, and last year he posted that video of doing like 495 on barbell rows. And I remember a buddy of mine sent it to me because I just love barbell rows, like heavy barbell rows. And I was like, I'm going to give it a try at like 193 pounds. And I think I got like 5 reps at the time. And just recently I did another video of 7 reps at 495 on barbell rows at like 196.
It's pretty big. It's a big ass fucking number.
Yeah. Well, to me, it doesn't seem that big because I'm like, whatever, because
I just do this on a regular basis. And I barbell row 495. No big deal. Stop it.
But I think that's the funny thing about it is like, because I don't think that it's heavy or I don't think it's a big deal, it's the idea of the willpower. Like I tell people all the time, like the body will always go where the mind tells it. I just don't think things are heavy. To me, it's like even the concept of heavy is subjective. Like at one point, 315 was a heavy bench. And now like I've done 315 for anywhere from 10 to 15 reps on bench press. Like,
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Heavy is very subjective. It's like I think someone asked Eddie Cohn, probably one of the greatest powerlifters of all time, asked him how it felt to squat like 1,000 pounds. And someone's like, I think he asked the person like, what's your max squat? And they said 600 pounds. It felt the same way 600 pounds feels for you. It's subjective. Everything in life has like some level of subjectivity to it, to the person.
Strength itself is very subjective.
Yeah.
Like one person, well, there can be many people that do, but no one person is going to be able to be like, yeah, this is what 500 pounds feels like, versus someone who's like, first time, let's say, benching like 250 or whatever.
Yeah.
They feel like that's as heavy as 500 pounds. But eventually, when they do get like more experience and they get more strength and stronger, it just doesn't feel the same. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
When you what made you decide to do the military? Join the military?
I'd actually originally planned on joining the Army when I was 17, and I signed up over the summer. And then when I graduated, they showed up, and I was like, I don't really want to do that. So then I stopped. And they showed up to my door to take me to boot camp, and I was like, that's a no. And they're like,
they know.
Yeah, and they were mad, and I was like, but I know, like they couldn't force me to go because I hadn't like left. It's like once you leave, then you're kind of screwed. But like in MEPS, it's just it's a delayed entry program. And I was like, whatever, So, and then like 19, my buddy's dad was in the Navy, and I kind of just was working a job in Houston and kind of lost with who the hell I was as a kid, but I wanted to get the hell out. So my buddy's dad talked me into the Navy. He went up there, we talked to the recruiter, and I joined. And I was like, man, I'm going to travel and see the world. I was like, maybe I can do, I was like, I want to go SEALs eventually, which didn't happen, but yeah, I joined, saw Europe, never touched a boat, which people are always weirded out when they like, I did 5 years in the Navy, never once went out to the ocean. I lucked out and deployed to Germany twice, and then came back when I was stuck stateside up in Washington State, not Washington D.C., until I got out in 2011. So yeah, 2006, 2011. So 5 years.
Nice. How'd you like it?
Had its ups and downs. As a self-reliable person and doesn't take a lot of shit from people. I had a lot of good notes in my record and also a lot of bad ones. So, but it was just
authorities.
Huh?
Authorities.
Yeah. But it was like I was never a person that disobeyed authority unless I knew what they were trying to tell me was bullshit. Like, but that carries over to the idea of like how, like the conversation you and I've had about America and the state it is. Like, I'm watching people like just bow down to the government, and I'm like, you realize that's against your constitutional rights. Like, or like people saying like, oh, cops are like, oh, it's my job. I'm like, no, motherfucker. Like, you don't have to do these things. They can give you orders. You can say no. Yeah. Well, I have a paycheck. So you're fucking other people over for your paycheck. Like, that's about as un-American as you can get, in my opinion. So, but I was always one of those people that just, I did what I needed to do. I listened if it was someone that I genuinely knew was telling me to do the right things, or if I knew it was the right thing to do. But whenever people were telling me certain things and I'm like, okay, that's bullshit, I would call them out. Like, I was like, that's stupid. So yeah, I got in a lot of trouble for, when a superior was saying something and I was like, you're pretty fucking dumb. And I'm not going to do that. Yeah. So yeah, had a lot of those.
Very patriotic.
Yes. I don't know. I wouldn't even say it's like, it could be patriotic. I think that should just be a human thing. Like, it doesn't, I don't know. Maybe patriotic is a good term. I hate that people like, going patriotic in with like human, like, or American nature. It's like, I think everyone in the world needs to have a sense of what is right, what is wrong, and have your morals and just be willing to say,
no,
fuck you. Yeah. No.
With everything that's going on, I end up finding one word that kind of like stuck out to me. And the reason why the word kind of like made sense. You ever play Mega Man?
Yes. Mega Man's probably one of my favorite side scrollers of all time. I've literally beat every Mega Man there is.
That's crazy. Yeah. I was playing Mega Man X Command Mission on GameCube. I'm not gonna lie, it's a pretty good role-playing game, especially the Mega Man game. I've never played Mega Man except for that, and I really liked the gameplay. It was interesting, but like during like the while I was playing the game, there's like a different faction. You have the bad guy, right? You have the Mavericks.
Yeah, I remember the Mavericks. Yeah,
the Mavericks.
Zero.
Yeah, there was one fighting for the good cause, going against whatever is going on and stuff like that. Things are on. I think what you are is not necessarily the word patriotic, but someone who's a maverick, if you think about it.
Yeah, because I mean, it's not
things as they are. You kind of question it, and you think for your own, and then you're just like, wait a second, this isn't right, and then you rebel against that action.
Yes. I am, in a sense, it's like people always ask me, like, what's my political affiliation?
I feel like that should be everyone's political affiliation.
Yeah, and I think so, but it's like, I would tell people, I guess you can call me libertarian, because that's everyone wants to put a fucking label to everything that bothers me. But yeah, I believe in the Constitution that was bestowed upon us from our founding fathers to get away from tyranny. And when you look at the original idea of the Constitution, it's a very beautiful thing. There could be some things along the way that could be changed due to our past.
Stuff like that happens progressively over time.
Yeah.
Change. You're not going to.
When I looked at
your Bill of Rights or Constitution to stay for 200 years with the exact.
Exactly. Yeah. But a lot of the foundation of it is something I stand for. I stand for I hate even saying the American way, because Americans' ways are so fucking weird now.
What the foundation
Yes, what they fought for. Freedom of choice, and that's something that's beautiful. You want to stay at home? Great. Stay home. Don't get mad that I don't want to. Oh, you're going to get people sick. Keep sick people inside. Get your panties out of a bunch. Stop. I'm actually very healthy and my immune system is great. So this is out of the gym. I'm around a bunch of disgusting stuff in gyms, and that makes my immune system higher. That's the irony behind gyms. They talk about how dirty gyms are. When you look at homeless people, and homeless people aren't dead by the thousands because they're outside. They're always around stuff, so their immune system's higher. You look at a gym, it's a bunch of people that are always in the gym, sweating, taking care of your body. We tend to eat healthier. We hydrate. We're out in the sun. We have better immune systems, and you just can't deny that.
But there's also those rare individuals who it might get, but when it do get people like that, it's probably related to some underlying issues that they have.
Oh, 100%. I haven't had a flu shot, and I can't tell you how long. I don't get sick, and if I get sick, I'm for a few days, and then I'm good.
Must be nice.
It is nice. It's very nice. But I take care of myself. I don't really drink anymore. I don't smoke. I eat healthy, minus donuts and stuff like that from time to time.
I was just thinking about that earlier today as I was driving by.
Donuts?
Two Dunkin' Donuts. The first one I was just like, I was saying something. You know, like the meme where it's like, oh, a squirrel kind of thing.
Yeah.
I was like, me and my friend were like driving around, and then we passed a Dunkin' Donuts. I like stopped what I was saying. It was donuts. And then I like continued a conversation, and I'm just like, I'm really hungry right now.
That's actually me. Like, dude, I drive by donuts, and I'm just like, like, dude, if you ever get a chance to come out to Texas to kick it, oh yeah, that's right. So we would have to go to Austin, Texas, up in Round Rock, which is it's actually a little north of Austin, but I just say Austin. You know, go to Round Rock and get Round Rock donuts, dude. They do like the sweet potato donuts.
Stop.
Dude, any person I've ever taken them to, like I had a friend who came down to Dallas to compete, and I brought her some. Brought some back to Houston one time.
Yeah.
People that like, I've had a friend of mine, her and her man like flew down from Connecticut. We drove out there to go to Austin just to chill.
I'm literally about to order fucking donuts.
See, I would do that, but you know, I got 7 weeks until my meet, and I have to make weight. So
anyway, off the topic of donuts, because that's gonna be bad.
Yes. You know what's funny is like we say a topic of donuts, and it's like the T-shirt is like a donut with a barbell through it.
Oh my god, it's so funny.
Yeah, that's dope. This company's dope, dude. So yeah. Not donut sauce, bro. So
yeah, oh my god, donuts are so good. But anyway, cool. So what's your relationship like?
What relationship?
Like not that, but like let's say meeting girls and stuff like that, being able to go out, being a very like social individual. What's it like the relationship with people? Aside from the reliable individual.
Yeah, reliable. I am also, you know, it's funny because we've carried on a lot of these conversations, but I'm very honest. I am.
It's usually the case.
Yes, I'm very, very honest. Some people consider me an asshole, but
second that.
Yes.
Did we just become best friends?
Did we become best friends?
Yes.
Are we gonna build a bunk bed? So we have so much room for activities. No, my relationship with people is I'm a person like you're gonna love me or hate me, and that's not on me. I am who I am at the end of the day. I can always be better. I know that, and when I have the right friends around me that give me the constructive criticism that I need, I get better. I mean, you've seen all the stuff that I shared on my social media. I'm all about accountability. I don't like enabling. I cannot stand it. You know, with being raised by mom, I need honesty. I can't do dishonesty. It was most of my life, still to this day, some dishonesty. But I just need. It's a requirement for me to be a friend and be honest. Don't hold back. Shit's gonna hurt my feelings. I'll get over it. But my relationships with people is like if you need a shirt, I'll give you the shirt off my back, and I'll go buy another to make sure you have a second one. I try to, like I've told you, I try to be the person I wish I had as a kid. So I'm, as much as it sounds like I'm a very empathetic person, very vulnerable. I like to help people. I know it's weird, like when you hear me speak, and it's like I'm very empathetic, but it's like we've had these conversations too. I'm very empathetic.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying because I like the things that you're saying. I'm literally like the exact same.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
sometimes a little bit unempathetic there. So, but hey,
well, I think
act a certain way.
So okay, so this is, and I was talking with a friend of mine about that earlier. It's the idea of like some people want sympathy disguised as empathy. So it's like they're not really looking for empathy. They're just looking for attention. They're looking for that gratification. Like, oh, my life's so hard. You know what? You're a good person. Like, and I'm that person that's like, you know, I'll be like that. But then when I see it's like you're just wanting attention, I'm gonna say, get the fuck up and do something about it.
Yeah.
Like I've literally, God, it is a dick thing to say.
It is. It's so
to some people. But no, I've had someone come to me one time, and they came to me over and over and over about losing weight, want to get better and stronger. And it was this kid a couple of years ago. And it was just like months and months of repetitive asking and asking and asking. I'm like, look, dude, this is how much I charge. I'm so willing to help you. Like, let's get this going. Like, I will give you the guide to get where you want to go. I will teach you along the way how to do this for yourself. And it was just always an excuse, always an excuse, always an excuse. And I got to the point where I was like, in my mind, I'm thinking, like, dude, anytime you talk to me now, it's wasting my time. Like, you're not learning because you're not implementing. And I looked at him and I was like, you're always going to be a fucking loser. I'm like, you walk around like a lost puppy dog, always looking for handouts. Like, you don't do anything. You're not getting up by yourself. Like, you're always going to be a follower. You'll never lead. I'm like, you're going to do nothing. Like, you're going to stay out of shape. You're probably going to get fat later in life. And he was just like, he was taken away. But the funny thing is that his buddy literally like got coaching from me like the same day after he saw me say that. And I'm like, because I'm the person, like, I will do whatever's in my power to help you out. If you start wasting my time, fuck you. Sorry. Like, there are people that can benefit from me. If you're just taking advantage of that and I catch on to it, fuck you. Like, but we've had the conversations of like, I don't have to accept that. Like, I don't like the acceptance culture. Like, I can respect anyone for living whatever way they want. I don't have to accept it. Not everybody accepts me for who the fuck I am, and that's fine. Yeah. Not everyone respects me. That's okay. I don't need any of that.
Because if they did, they would take your advice.
Yes. So, yeah, man, I have been the asshole, but at the same time, like, I've been blessed to like go through everything that I've been through in life and be able to guide those. Just recently, I have a friend of mine that now a client who owns a gym up in Dallas, and I'm like mentoring him. And it's so weird because I've always wanted to like mentor and life coach. And when he came to me, I was like, at this point, I was like, how do I even mentor someone? And he was like, dude, just honestly keep being you. Like, that's kind of what I'm needing. Like, I every time I see, you know, like the things that I post or when we talk about stuff, like, he'll like tag me in a video and I'll give him, you know, constructive criticism on like how to fix a lift or this and that. And he just takes it and he's like, you know, that's what a mentor is. Like, you just be you, and along the way, I implement what you say. So yeah, I love mentoring, man. Like, at the gym, like, I'll meet young kids. I love helping them. Like, one of my clients is my buddy's son, which I was there at the hospital when he was born when he was 17, so 15 years ago, which is crazy. 18 now.
Pretty good song.
Thinking about it. Huh?
That's a pretty good song.
Yeah. So, but no, he's a young kid, and when I got with him, like, I know the coaches he goes to school with, or that coach him at his school, and they're not that smart with some things. And I got at them, and I helped them. Like, I taught him like how to lift properly, taught him nutrition. Along the way was, you know, speaking words of encouragement into him, teaching him like the idea of self-accountability, self-respect, you know, self-worth, all that. Just like, at the end of the day, like, you have to look in the mirror and realize this is you. Like, if you want to be that professional football player, it doesn't matter what anyone says, what I say, you're going to want that. And it was so cool that along the way, you know, he even mentioned something to me one time about how he felt like he respected me more than his dad. And yeah, that was kind of how I was took away. But what really got me was like when his granddad came up and went to pay for sessions one time, his granddad was like, I want to thank you. And I was like, oh man, no problem. He's like, no, seriously, like, we've never seen him with this much confidence. And to me, like, that's what I'm wanting as a coach is to be able to instill confidence within people. So by nature, like, as a friend, like, my relationships is I try to be that person that people can look at and learn from. I don't like the word inspiration. I don't want to be an inspiration, which is weird to me. I want to show you that inspiration comes within. I want to show you that everything that I am, you have within you. You just have to find it within yourself. Yeah, you have to find it with yourself and do it, man. So yeah, my relationships, they don't always last. I mean, I tell anyone, like, nothing's meant to last forever. But I would say, like, the relationships I have forged throughout the years are very, very good relationships. I mean, even the people that I haven't even met in person, you know, I have very good relationships with. So yeah.
I mean, I usually don't get along with people, so you're lucky.
Yeah. I know. We've had these conversations, Paul.
And it's so difficult to get along with like people who don't like. I don't know. For me, it's just, again, it goes back to just being honest and then just being able to take responsibility for your actions. When I see individuals who don't do that, it kind of like, it doesn't make me like upset. it just makes me feel like you have all
disappointed.
Yeah,
disappointed. It's disappointed, dude. No, trust me.
All this potential to be better than you are now, but you simply choose not to.
Yeah, and that's you know previous situations and with a certain someone, and that's what it was like. But between me and that person is like I became very disappointed because like, man, this person has so much potential, and you try to feed into it, but it's like at the end of the day, you can't force a flower to grow. It's gonna grow and it's gonna bloom on its own. So, yeah.
I learned that in my last relationship where basically I did the exact same thing. I didn't really particularly force her, but I tell her, hey, you're capable of doing so much more. Support them, do whatever it is that's necessary to make them feel that they can believe the things that I say and actually like start being able to and like get in that mode where like, okay, this is true, I know this, I'm gonna do it. And it's just like they never did. And it just sucks because like I see like the potential that they have to be better than what they currently are. And that's why like when I do like these online coaching and stuff like that, I do it because I want people to be the best version of themselves. Because being able to be the best version of yourself increases so much quality of life.
Mm-hmm.
It's just amazing because you're not really insecure about anything because you've been better, you've been in certain situations you handle, and it just makes people better. And I feel I always get so like angry and upset, I would say, when I tell people what is wrong with them.
Yeah, I know.
Not like in that context, but just like I tell them like what they do to be better than what they are. But then it's the thing. I think it's because they know that they're capable of that they just rebel to do it when it comes from somebody that they care about.
I think it's that, and it's a matter of like the stuff that we tell people at the end of the day is like they have to step outside their comfort zone.
Yeah.
And if you look at like how society is nowadays, like you don't need to. Why? You have Amazon, you have Uber Eats, you have Netflix, you have TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, Disney, everything, dude. Everything has literally, but the way like society has manipulated people has created such a level of comfort and false safety that people do not care. And it's like the saying, like, I'd rather live in dangerous liberty than peaceful slavery. And people nowadays are so okay with peaceful slavery. Everyone is so okay with sitting back and doing just enough to get by because doing anything otherwise is outside their comfort zone, and it's scary.
Yeah.
And it's sad. It's
and
sad.
They know this. Like they all know this. But it's like they don't want it to be heard. They don't want somebody else to say it to them.
Well,
feel like you have to be accountable for stuff like that. It's also the fact that we've having kids at our age. I wouldn't say all of us, but when I was like really young, like just society in general was different, and it's only been less than 20 years.
I know
that so much happened, and it's just like this whole happened within like such a short period of time, and stuff like this that happens in such a short period of time would have taken like years way back when to actually happen.
Oh, it'd taken decades. It would have taken like a lot longer than that.
Yeah, everything's just progressively like it's like life is on hyperspeed.
I think the what's the word I'm looking for is like the degradation of self accountability and self improvement is drastic. It's just there's no need for it because life is being built to make things easier. And I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but we can both understand that that's probably been put into play by a certain set of people high up in a food chain.
Well, people are comfortable. They have no reason to fight back.
No, there's literally no reason to fight back. Well, it's the constant. It's like the regression of the human thought process, critical thinking in a sense. Like, it's weird to me because we talked about how when you look into psychology, like the front of the brain develops in like the mid-20s, and that's where like a lot of your logical and critical thinking comes into play. Is like the full development of your frontal lobe. But I think with how social media and the way life has been formulated over the past decade or two, as I honestly feel like that's decreased. Like, I feel like it's not happening until like in the later 20s, sometimes early 30s with people. And it also depends on like the amount of shit people have been through.
And with everything that's so like discombobulated, whether it goes from family issues, whether it goes from political issues, progressive, everything is just all over the place. And it's just like people just don't have that one track mind. Like there's no distraction.
There's no sense of guidance anymore. And it's weird at the end of the day, like you and I speak about this, but it's like I think people like us have to understand at the same time, like even way back in the day, like there are always people who are just, some are meant to lead and some are meant to follow. And it's people like us that I think, Joe Sullivan, my coach, amazing dude. Like, I remember when he was going through everything up in Ohio, and him and I were messaging back and forth about, Ohio being locked down. And I was like, dude, this shit is against your constitutional rights. Fuck them, fight back. And I was like, he's a man, I know. I was like, Joe, you've been this person you seem to have been put in this position to, people look up to you, people are willing to follow you. I'm like, and I could probably pull up the message, and it was basically me saying, like, you need to do something. Like, you have the abilities. Like, I know it sucks. Like, it's exhausting being this person. It's like, but it's going to take you doing it. And sure enough, he did it. And it's like, now you see, like, his gym's open, everything's rolling. And it takes certain people like us, like, man, it can be exhausting being that person. Like, people think, like, it's like we're being assholes, but it's like, man, it's very exhausting. Like, when you see so much potential in people, and you're always trying to lead, like you're always trying to help, you're always trying to be the buffer for people, you're always trying to be that light. Like, it is physically, mentally, and spiritually exhausting being that person, but it's what I was blessed with. So to me, it's my obligation to continue being who I am. Like, the world is always going to need people like that.
Yeah.
And I think it's self-treason to not be that person.
100%.
Yeah.
I completely agree. So that was pretty deep. I think we're moving against stuff like that. I kind of had a feeling it's going to be a lot different compared to what most audiences are typically used to.
I know. You and I had this conversation when we talked about doing this.
I was like, yeah, dude, it was going to be like this. And then it's not over yet. I just got some stuff that I kind of just thought about. That I actually remember when I was like, I was going to say something, and then I forgot it.
You remembered it.
I remembered it like 5 minutes later, but then I just waited for you to kind of just like talk. And then,
okay.
But what got you into poetry?
Oh, okay. Poetry. That's a good one. So, man. So I lived in Austin the end of 2017 through 2018 a little bit. And I was dating this girl. It was great, man. It was like one of those, it was probably the first real relationship that took me outside of who I am. And it also made me go in deeper to who I was. Like, I was down that path of like pushing the boundaries of my mind to break into the next level and going in deeper. But it's something that she challenged me in a way to make me go even deeper, make me push more, which was a beautiful thing.
Hold on. I don't want to stop you for a second. Okay. But you know what that usually means?
What? Plus ultra? So yes, fucking amazing anime, by the way. So no, it was just the relationship ended, and it like really just hit me for a while, and I went back down to like the darker, deeper, the abyss of who I am for a bit, and reached up from the murky bottoms on many times looking for light. And I started listening to a lot of motivational speeches, and it's funny, a lot of Charles Bukowski and Alan Watts actually have like one of Charles Bukowski's poems is actually my screensaver or my background on my computer, and it's probably like one of my favorite ones. It's just so raw and real, and I was listening to these speeches all the time to like try to pull myself out of that funk. That's what I tell people, like, you know, anxiety and depression, like you have to create a sense of action, like to get past that. And one day I just wrote a poem. And then the first 2 months of writing, I wrote like 140 poems. I think I have like 200 something written. See, how many do I have now? Some of them are finished, but some are. Let's see. Let's go to notes, thoughts. Yeah, 237 poems I've written. Probably about 30 of them aren't finished, so 200 poems. And it was just, to me, it was crazy because I've always, as I got older, and I started listening to like a lot of not poetry. I guess like it is poetry, but it was like done into like YouTube videos, and a lot of Jordan Peterson. Big fan of Jordan Peterson, not the bodybuilding coach, but the psychologist up in Canada. Yeah, Dr. Jordan Peterson. And a bunch of other audibles, man. And it made me. I wanted to get. Growing up in the South, like I felt like I wasn't. Like, as a man, I was like a country kid, and like I wanted to speak better. Like, in a sense, like that's what brought, you know, with her. Like, she was very city. I grew up very formal, highly educated, and it was like I wanted to become a better version of me. So I hit that point where it's like I looked for ways of self-expression in those dark periods. And like, dude, I think one night I pumped out like 6 in one night. It had to be like within an hour. It was just like song after song. Like, even I love movie scores. Big fan of movie scores. Like, it's just something about listening to these beats that just brought out something. I even had someone ask me one time, like, what's my headspace when I write this? And I wrote a poem about that. Like, I would have conversations with people and it would spark something, and I would like just pull up and write a poem because it would flow. But like a lot of my poems are like stuff that it was flown within me, and like I couldn't get it out fast enough before it just stopped. So poetry is just it's a great way for self-expression, and I love the fact that some of the poems that I have written, you know, I've sent to some people and sent to some friends, and they're just always taken away by it, and that's what I want. Like, I want every time you read a poem is you should feel the weight of the words that I put in there, like whether they're good or bad, you know, whether it's light or dark, like it should take you to a place, you know. And I like it to, when you read it, it can take you to your own place. That's beautiful. But when you read it, you can literally feel what I'm going through. That is something beautiful. And I loved it, man. It's I write some here and there a little bit now. I mean, I've shown you a lot of the stuff that I write.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It just self-expression, man. And as I practice vulnerability and become to realize, like, a lot of my anxiety and depression,
being invulnerable.
Yes, it actually, I tell people all the time, like, my anxiety and depression was my fault at the end of the day. Everyone's like, oh, how can you say that? Like, yeah, I can't control external conflict, but I can control how I handle it. And a lot of the stuff in life, like, I wasn't handling right. Instead of seeking, you know, the stigma of a man, like, oh, you got to maintain, you know, got to hold it all in. I did that for so long. And as I began to express who I was and be open about who I was, I became more aware of who I am. So in a sense, it was, you only become aware of who you are when you're actually able to express it, because it's the idea of, like, you know, communication is key. Comprehension also comes with communication. So when I became familiar with communicating who I am, I could comprehend who I was as well. So expressing the emotions through poetry, when I would read it, I'm like, I could comprehend my thoughts for once, you know, instead of just letting that miasma of thoughts just swirl around inside. I was able to regurgitate them onto paper or a notepad and then reread it and be like, okay, this is the thought process along the way. Like, this is who I am. Where did that come from? Like, and then I was able to dive in deeper. So yeah, that's what brought me to poetry, is a heartbreak. So
I was hoping you would say something like that, because at the end of the day, being able to say what the real issue was leaves you vulnerable. That's
oh yeah.
I think for most men in general, that is the one thing that a lot of us lack, because we feel like we have to be vulnerable. Well, yeah, we have to be like invulnerable. I can
We
emphasize.
have to pick up the shield, you know.
Yeah, we have to
Yeah.
like pick up the shield, fight for it, make ourselves like this unmovable mountain that nothing can break us, nothing can hurt us, or anything like that. That like they get so wrapped up in it that they kind of, I guess, in a sense, lose their identity of how to freely express themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That they just don't, and then they can never get to like that like vulnerable part of themselves that kind of like express who they really are as a person. Where like if you're sad, you say you're sad. If you feel like you want to cry, you cry. If you feel like you want to do something or something's bothering you, or like this person's treating you a different way, you express your feelings towards those people. You don't have to like hold it in and just be like, you know what? I'm gonna be a man and I'm gonna hold this stuff in, and then nothing can hurt me, ain't nothing gonna hurt these kids, kind of thing. But like at the end of the day, that's, I think if a lot of men realize that, like, hey, it's okay. I feel a lot better about that.
It is, and you know, not to like dive into, we don't have to dive into anything, but like you and I had a conversation recently about some stuff, and you know, because I had the same, we've had a lot of the same struggles throughout life, and one of the struggles I had dealt with a couple of years ago, you know, you were telling me about some stuff, and I was like, you know, I think this is how you need to handle that, and then you did, and it was really cool to like get the response from you, like how much weight you felt lift off you from finally just taking that shit that was caged up inside you for so long, and you let that cage open and you let it the fuck out. You let it out, and you know, it's always scary to let that person out, but a lot of the times that person in that cage just wants to be seen.
Yeah, it was like, I mean, I've had some scary shit, but
Yeah.
like, growing up as a kid, I've always had this like shield up because of past experiences, whether it be from being born in Africa, experiencing war issues, whether it be coming to America, whether it be like having to be who I am because I didn't have like a parental guidance or anything like that. So I always have to be that unmovable mountain. But like I learned how to make myself vulnerable through my relationships. And these are relationships I've had with multiple women. And every time that, like, at first, my first girlfriend, when something happened, I was just like, yo, tough it up, don't say anything, don't do anything, or whatever. I didn't really express it, and I was just like, okay, that happens, whatever, cool, it's no big deal, and just moved on. But then, like, when I got out of that relationship, I learned, like, okay, don't do that.
So everything you did was the wrong way.
Yeah, so don't do that. Do this. So it's always a constant learning process of like learning things that make you vulnerable. I think for most men, whereas it says sometimes we don't necessarily need breakups, but we need something that tells us, hey, you know what, man, you're not perfect, and it's okay.
Yes, it's a dude. A scene. You ever seen Good Will Hunting?
No.
Okay, there's a scene in Good Will Hunting. You can literally just YouTube it. This scene like makes me cry like a little bitch every time.
Yeah.
But it's a scene between like Robin Williams and Matt Damon.
Matt Damon.
And yeah, no, Matt Damon. But like the movie is basically, it's about, you know, Will, which is Matt Damon's character, and Robin Williams is like his therapist throughout the movie. And you know, he sees him throughout the movie, blah blah blah. He does their stuff, and then towards the end of the movie, like when he's kind of giving him his final paperwork for, you know, how he did, you know, they have an exchange, and it's, you know, so what'd you think? And he's like, you know, this and that, and he's like, and Will has a response, and then Rob Williams' character says something, and like Will like starts to break down throughout the scene, and Rob Williams' character like looks and like throws it down, and And he looks at him and he says, "It's not your fault." And he's like, I know. And he's like, "No, dude, it's not your fault." And this kid, his whole life made him think that all the shit he went through was his fault. And Robin Williams' character just looks at him and says, "It's not your fault." And you just see Will like break. I'm not even doing the scene justice, dude. It's one of those, like, if you haven't seen the movie, go watch it. Like, anytime, because I still have moments of doubt and moments where I'm questioning myself, like, was that my fault? Was it this? And I'll get caught up in it, dude. I would literally go watch that scene as like a reminder that, like, some things I might have had a play in it, but it's not always necessarily my fault, you know? So yeah, man, it's, I think a lot of guys and men need to understand that it's not your fault. It's okay. Like, vulnerability is a beautiful thing, man. It's like when you reach a point that you become so vulnerable, you actually become untouchable. And it's in a sense like, people always say, like, you know, the idea of vulnerability, like, you know, if a phone is vulnerable, it's bad, it's gonna break. I think in a weird sense, like, when you become so vulnerable, you actually become transparent. Like, you can say whatever, and you know, as you practice vulnerability and you start peeling those layers off, you know, it hurts because, you know, you peel back your skin and it's like, oh, then it's just muscle. You peel back your muscle, it's nerves. Then eventually when you reach a point of pure vulnerability, like, it's all gone, and it's just your energy, it's just your soul, and it doesn't matter what anyone says because it's just going right through you. Like, you could look me in the eye and be like, you know, I think you're a piece of shit, and I'm gonna be like, why do you feel that way? Humility, and with humility, and they're gonna be like, well, I'll feel that way because this. Like, you know what, you're right. Let me make adjustments, and I'll work on that. But if they can't give me an answer, if they're like, man, I think you're a piece of shit, I'm like, why do you feel that way? You just are. And I'm like, okay, now you're just projecting your bullshit on me. And that means even a lot less. And I used to say, like, hey, man, I'm sorry you feel that way. Nothing I can do. And that vulnerability, it's scary, dude. It's a very scary position to be in because people just, they can't do much, man. They really can't do shit to you anymore.
Yeah, and when they can't, you can freely just express who you are and just be who you're meant to be without limitations. So
yeah,
and hopefully one day we'll get there, but it's tough.
It takes time, dude. It takes a lot of time. You know, I've had a few friends that I can communicate with throughout time, but like, the idea of poetry helped me express that a lot more. Reading certain books, you know, I used to journal a lot more, which I need to get back into journaling. I have a lot more books I need to read, but even stuff on Audible, it takes you to a position, and it's like, you know, through breakups, you're always like, or just things in it, like, you know, the amount of death that I've experienced in my life. 17, grandfather; 18, uncle of cancer; 19, a good friend at 20, 21, 22, 23, aunt at 24. My best friend, 5 days later, from the Navy, he passed away. Another one, and then my brother at 28 was the last person that passed away. So, like, I've experienced a lot of death. I've experienced a lot of trauma in life, and you reach a point where you're like, it almost eats you up along the way, and you're like, I'm tired of this. Like, how can I become so vulnerable that I become invulnerable? Like, how can I become so uncomfortable that it becomes comfortable? How can I take the worst parts of life and make it the best? So I found ways to use everything that was meant to break me to forge me into something better. All the heat and pressure that was meant to break me in life, I've used it to forge a stronger weapon. Yeah. So
it's really,
it's deepish. It's deepish. We can go deeper, Paul. We can go deeper. You know me. You know me.
We could. And I would love to do that another time. While this whole thing was happening, I actually just thought of a very wonderful idea. I'll let you know about it later. But we got through the deep stuff. Now for some games and comics and movies and stuff like that. Let's see.
Nerdy stuff.
Let's do it. So far from just having this conversation with you within an hour or so, I realized that...
Has it been that long already?
It's been way longer than that.
Oh my God, dude, we do this.
I realized that when somebody looks at you as an individual, whether you're at the gym or whether you're somewhere else and you're just there, the way that you look as a person, do you think that gives people a different perception of who you are?
Oh, dude, all the fucking time. I've literally been the since I was a kid. I've always just had that not normal or not normal look, and I carried myself differently. But yeah, of course, like, you know, I carry the I'm, you know, thicker. I'm dense. It's funny when I'm doing my handstands and my gymnastic style stuff. People are literally just like, I just saw this dude like squat 600 pounds or plus for reps and bench, you know, close to 400 and deadlift over 600 pounds. Like, how is he over here doing handstands and such? But I've never fit that, you know, that box. I kind of like, someone tried to push me in the box when I was a kid, and I fucking punched and just broke that box apart. And I was like, fuck your box. But that was probably, you know, Dragon Ball Z growing up as a kid. I was like, Goku's super shredded and super strong. And he does karate and does ki blast. Why can't I do that? Haven't reached ki blast yet. I mean, I'm getting close, I think, but
you usually practice Kamehameha.
Well, hold on. It would be next week on Dragon Ball Z. Next week on Dragon Ball Z.
And it's like, it's only going to be a 5-minute long Kamehameha charge, and all of a sudden it ends up being like 50 gajillion episodes.
Yeah. It's fun. I think I actually took a...
Later.
I think last year on Instagram, I went to do like a big deadlift, and I put in my stories, and you see me getting ready, and I wedge, and I did a pull, and I literally stopped it, and I put the story after that, like, tune in next week to see if he pulls it. It was so hilarious.
Funny. Yeah. But yeah, just based on that, I guess I could see how people can kind of like think you're somebody else if they're really not within that first few seconds of interaction.
It's always, and you know this, when it's the idea of like you're always full of yourself. I think
that's like the reading that they get. They feel like, oh, this dude, he's always this, he's cocky, he's confident, and all that stuff. But like, they never really took that time to like fully explain or just fully like communicate with you. Hey man, how are you? Going and stuff like that. Because like the moment they take that like first approach, they find out, oh, you're a totally different person.
Yeah,
and I think it sucks for I think it sucks for guys who are into fitness, bodybuilding, or like whatever kind of sport that you do, because people can't seem to hold a regular conversation with you unless it's about like, hey man,
Rates.
How much do you bench?
Oh my God, dude. Hey bro, how much you bench?
It makes people who are into stuff like that look dumb. But like, it's also, they're not trying to be like that. It's just people just assume that's what they are.
Yeah.
Physical appearances, and it really is one of the reasons why I even made this, just so I can get to the point where I can have people like share this stuff, and that way people can know a lot more. Just from this conversation, there's so much stuff people can pull from this, from like how you started up growing up, how you started in lifting, what you do, the things that you do, and like who you are, your honesty and stuff like that, how you can make yourself be like vulnerable to certain situations, and then it doesn't phase you, but at the end of the day, you're just a genuine individual. Not fake, which is really, really super duper cool.
Cool.
Yeah,
man. Like when you approached me and said you even wanted to do this, I was like so fucking supportive of it, because I'm so big behind like, who is the person behind the image you think they are. Are you willing to, are you looking at the actor in front of the curtains? Are you willing to go behind the curtains and see what they are when they take the mask off?
Yeah.
Because that's, I have a poem written about that, but you know, I have to like pull them all up. it is funny thing about her earlier. You talked about like the night and the shield and stuff. I remember that girl I dated in Austin. Like she actually wrote me something about that, and it was so beautiful. Actually, I think I still have it on my phone or somewhere. But yeah, she wrote a note about the idea of like being that person, and that was like pretty badass. But yeah, there's always an image. I get it. I don't care. Like I said, people are gonna see what they want to see. But yeah, man, comics and anime, like ultimately, I think you've had the conversation about like Stan Lee passed away.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, dude, that like really broke me up, and I wasn't expecting that. But I realized, like the idea of my little brother passing away, like I have this thing, it's words. Can you even see it, or is it too bright?
Yeah.
Anyways,
See,
yeah.
like,
So it's a screensaver I keep on my phone, and it was like a text message from a family friend, and it was a story like my little brother said to her, and it was he really didn't want you to go, but he understood. He was glad you're about you being a sailor. He showed me your picture of you in your dress blues that you sent to your mom. He wished he was like you. You knew what you wanted and went for it. He would say, I wish Charlie would call, especially the days he was down in the dumps. And like this, like broke me up because he had passed away. Like so you were his idol and his hero, and that like just really kind of wrecked me for a while. Like I knew my little brother looked up to me, but like for my little brother to look at me of all people in the world and say I was his hero, I was his idol. Like when Stanley passed away, I reflect a lot on that, and it made me like realize, as a kid, I never had that father figure. I never had that hero or idol. When you look at like the Captain America, all these superheroes, all the people in anime, like the protagonists, it's like they're just that person that does what's right, no matter the cost. At the end of the day, and that's always so. Yeah, in a sense, like it was self-reliability as a kid, but it was like the comics also created that person within me. So like Stan Lee passing away, like man, that really screwed me up because like I was a big Spider-Man, like the whole tattoo, obviously, but a big Spider-Man fan, kids too, X-Men early '90s, but it was just doing what is right, and so comics, it's so funny, like these nerdy bodybuilders and like powerlifters, and like they're some of like the chillest people you'll ever meet because we grew up on like watching these stories. Like, dude, I still like I'll watch certain animes and like certain scenes will still like break me up because I'm like, I relate to that character so much. Like,
funny story. Well, not really funny, but like, you ever watch Death Note?
Yes.
So, the part where
Light
kills L?
Yes.
So when they're like up at the bleachers and it was like raining and stuff like that, and Ryuzuki was just like saying something to Light, and he was like, I've always considered you like a friend or something like that. You're like my first friend. And they were kind of just like exchanging emotions while Light was kind of just being a dick. I literally cried. Like I cried in that episode because like like the struggles of L and what he went through and the stuff that he had to go through and stuff like that, and just like how much he like, even though him and Light were just like constantly battling against each other, he still considered him as like his friend. And then just like the way that was like animated was just so beautifully well done. And I think for me, that's why I watched anime, because it's
yes,
more emotions.
Yeah, it's almost it takes away like the actors. It pulls the actors out of it, and it just puts like an animation, and you feel the emotion through it, which is why like I love taking my poetry and adding like superimposing it onto photos, because it's like it brings out a raw emotion because you can relate to it. When you watch an actor do something, you're like, you can see them saying it, and it's almost like that's not your emotion, that's not you. I mean, a good actor can change that, but with anime, it's like, or even comics, it's just there. The emotion's there.
Yeah, the characters have the emotions they built up.
Yeah,
it's not something you can just like fake because you're an actor. I mean, actors, but like still, it's like it's the animation itself that just brings everything.
Oh yes.
And it's so funny when we think about the definition of animation, it just means bringing something to life.
Yeah. So you're animating emotions. So it's funny you're wearing, obviously, Automate. Dude, I just I haven't finished watching this new season. This new season of of My Hero Academia. I need to finish some of it, but dude, I watched the one recently with Endeavor.
Oh my god, that was such a
Dude, that shit gave me fucking chills, bro. When he was like, "As much as I hate this, plus ultra," and it was like,
yeah.
boom, and then like when he hits the ground, he's like, "Oh," I was like, "Yes," because Endeavor was such a dick, dude. Like through so much, but you realize like he was that dick because he wanted to be the best, and you know when All Might finally passed on his power, he's like, "It's got to be me." And he fought and fought, and it was just like, man, I hate this, but it's like I know how much me saying this is gonna mean to everybody. So he did something he didn't want to do. He put himself in an uncomfortable position and reached that level of comfortability. And like that shit, dude, like it literally gave me chills. And like I didn't tear up, but I was like, all right, dude. Thank you, My Hero Academia, for
It
making me.
made you feel something.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. No, it puts you in the feels all day.
Especially his like character and who he is as a person, who we've seen him to be and what he does. He's kind of a dick.
Oh yeah.
But to be able to like develop in such a way where it's like now the rest of the world's on your shoulder,
Mm-hmm.
and you're the guy who has to be front in line. It's just like it puts that responsibility on him, but he knows what he has to do.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah. Dude, it's like I'm trying to remember the actual name of the comic because I'm a big Hulk fan. Obviously, like I'm an incredible Hulk fan. But hey, so no, it's I want to say it's called Hulk. The end, or this is the end, but it's basically an apocalyptic future where.
Oh, it's the one with Maestro Hulk.
I don't think it's Maestro. No, it's just Hulk. It's Banner, but it's like it's a future. It's a separate written on its own. It doesn't go along to the comics, but it's like nuclear holocaust kills everybody except for the Hulk, and like the world's covered with mutated, massive like insects, and at night like there's these like mutated cockroaches that just fly around. They're like eating whatever they can. And like Hulk's like, when it's Banner during the day, and then Hulk at night when he comes back out, and it's crazy. You sit here and watch like at night, like Hulk fights and fights and fights, and eventually like he gets overtaken too much and gets eaten alive, and like heals back, and then it's Banner, and it's like it hits a scene where it's like Hulk and Banner's in the mine, and he's like, please let me go. Like, Hulk, all my friends are gone. I want to die. Please let me go. And Hulk is just like, fine. Like, I never wanted you. I never wanted anyone. I just wanted to be left alone. Because Hulk was always used. He was used as a weapon. And you see that played out, and they did pretty well in the MCU. Like, people got mad about, like, they kind of screwed Hulk over. And in Endgame, that really bothered me when they did like the Professor style Hulk, and he was like a little bitch. But in Infinity War, whenever they casted him back to Earth, he was like, no, fuck you, because everyone on Earth hated Hulk. They wanted to use him as a weapon. So Hulk was like, I'm not coming out. You can handle this yourself, Banner. You're the smart guy. And Hulk was always that misunderstood character. Like, he just want to be left alone, which is weird in a weird way. Like, I related so much to him as a child because like Banner is like always to help people, mild nature person. Like me, I'm like very mild nature, but I've always had that within me. Like I've always felt there's something within me that's just could break and rip shit apart at any moment, which I think like it's really weird, like watching me like lift weights. But I'm very like
Hulk-like?
I don't know. Yeah, Hulk-like. I've been called like Baby Hulk, Hulk Jr., Pocket Hulk.
When it comes to like lifting, that's when you fully like express those emotions that you've had, and being able to lift kind of just is like that way for you to just, again, you're left alone, you're doing what you have to do, and you're focused, you just lift with all the strength because there's no restrictions, no limitations holding you back from doing
no.
Yeah. It's like psych class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back to comics and uplifting stuff.
Yeah. So that's I do the exact same thing. Every time I lift, it's just like I go like in my little place, and I just do what I have to do. Just lift away.
Yeah. Dude, how long? Like, I don't think I've ever like paid attention completely to like how long most of your podcasts are. How long do they normally?
Usually like an hour and a half.
Okay.
So
I had a feeling you and I were probably. What are we at right now? I don't even pay attention.
there's no time, but I'll show up eventually.
Yeah.
And I'm not even gonna edit this out. I'm just gonna like leave it as it is.
Oh yeah. No.
I like it.
Yeah.
And I like the authenticity. Oh my god.
Authenticity. I like authenticities. I mean, titties.
What's that thing from like? Is it Finding Nemo? He was like Dory was saying something at the Namibula, and it's something I can't remember.
Okay. I know it. Yes, I know what you're talking about, but I can't remember. Yeah.
And he like didn't get the word out. It's oh fuck. I have to Google that. Enigma. Oh,
Enigma.
Yeah, that was it. It was kind of that.
Yeah.
But overall, this has been pretty great and it's pretty interesting. And I figured it was going to get like this. But this should definitely give like the reader a general idea of who you are as a person. I also have a suggestion if you're down for listening to it. I'll do it off the thing. But what are some last few bits of advice that you want to give to people who are either older than you, younger than you, or your age? Like, just you want to get out to the audience. Happy from life experience.
So I think this is one that, I mean, there's a bunch, like I've given a lot of them, but I think one that's it's tried and true and it can carry with anything in life is you and I as people who are into fitness and we coach is people always ask us, how do you stay motivated? We get it asked all the time. And the one thing I always say, and I hope this can ring with many people and sink in and people understand it, is motivation at the end of the day is bullshit. I'm motivated maybe 15-20% of the time. However, I practice discipline, and the analogy I like using is if you're stuck in the woods and it's freezing, you need a fire to survive throughout the night. You collect wood before it gets dark. You stack it up. You don't burn all of it, obviously. You realize like you have your pile of wood that you've gathered, and you have your little fire that you create. You get it sparked, and the fire goes. Motivation is that. Motivation is that spark that gets the fire going, but it's not gonna last. It's not gonna survive. But what you realize is throughout the night, you have to keep putting those logs on far past the time that you want to do it anymore. You're fucking tired. You want to sleep. You want to give up. To make it through, you have to keep putting those logs on. So for me, what I tell people is motivation is a spark that gets the fire going. Discipline is the logs that feed the fire. And how I tell people is, the funny thing about it is motivation and discipline have a brother and sister called interest and commitment. And when you start off in a relationship, you start off interested. Am I right?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Now, long term, do you want someone who's interested in you or committed to you?
Committed.
Okay. So then always follow through with, are you committed to yourself? Like, how's your self relationship? Are you only doing things when you're interested / committed, or interested / motivated, or are you doing things by commitment and discipline? And so many people are like, man, damn, dude, I guess I'm not committed to myself. And I always say, you can never love someone else
the way that
unless you love yourself. So
when you do, you're free to love whoever.
Yes, because
you like to love yourself. It doesn't make you selfish.
Yes, it makes you selfless.
Selfless, because you already love yourself. You already love yourself. Why can't you love yourself more? And
and it's the idea of like you can't pour from an empty cup. So I think once people in society now understand that you and I, we just talked about donuts, dude. You know how much, like, if there was a magical pill, I would take it, and my diet would consist of like 98% of shit food. I would maybe throw a vegetable in there from time to time.
Right.
Dude, I can eat a whole cheesecake in one sitting, and I'm okay. I can eat boxes of donuts and be like, oh, this is great. Boxes of Pop-Tarts, whatever, dude. I can eat shit food all day, but I look at myself and I say, I want to be the person that I wish I had as a kid. I want to be the best me that I can be. And I know it takes a high level of self-commitment, a high level of self-discipline, self-love, self-worth, self-accountability, self-responsibility. Because at the end of the day, no one else can give me that if I don't give it to myself.
Mm. And this is where if you don't give that to yourself, you start seeking it from other people.
Yes. And that's when shit hits the fan, because what you seek from someone else is not true. It's not real, and it's not gonna last. Like I tell people, I shared a poem from Osho the other day, and it's the idea of the flower. Like, if you love a flower, you don't pick it. You appreciate it for what it is. Love is not about possession, and it's the idea that love is a choice, and it's truly freedom. Like, but you have to flower who you are. Like, you have to water yourself. You have to really appreciate yourself. You don't possess people. Like, I don't possess your time. You don't possess my time. It's time we share throughout this world. I could fucking pass away tonight. You could pass away tonight. You don't know. So you appreciate the time that we share within this life, and you take it for what it is. And it's harder for people to understand that when they haven't been through a lot of trauma. In a weird, fucked up way to say it, like, you and I have been blessed. We weren't cursed. We weren't put through a lot of bullshit. We were blessed with a lot of bullshit. To, like, now we really appreciate, the small things in life. We appreciate realness, rawness, the truth, honesty, the dark and light, because it's necessary for both to make it through life. So
yeah, it's the same concept with love and hate. We understand what it's like to hate, what it's like to love, but at the same time, we find a middle ground.
Yeah,
and we just
compromise.
Yeah, that's literally what it comes down with. When in terms of like the idea of interested and a relationship versus committed in a relationship, the only way to do that is you have to compromise for something.
Exactly. It's a little bit of compromise. Now, where people fuck up with compromise is people think compromise means
one way.
No, it's not. It's not one way, but I think some people think compromise means to just get rid of your boundaries. Like, you can still compromise, but maintain integrity with who you are. Like, when you don't, it's not always about just compromising with one person. It needs to be reciprocated. So when you compromise, it needs to be a two-way street, and not just like you compromise everything who you are for someone else. Because like, that's also shit. Like, that's gonna lead resentment and regret and a whole assembly list of bullshit. That's ultimately gonna fuck you up for the next relationship. So
100%. Yeah. So that's a pretty good advice. I'm actually going to try to make a whole 5-minute long conversation as the clip.
Ooh.
Kind of like listen to it, because there's a lot of value in this entire thing. And I would hate for it to just get lost on their algorithm.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Like, it's one of these Joe Rogan's videos. Like, when you look at Joe's YouTube, like, a lot of his stuff gets watched, but dude, certain podcasts get watched the most, but there's also clips. He takes clips of certain podcasts and he's like, dude, I need this clip because it's gonna fucking get watched all the time. Or that clip's gonna get posted into motivational speeches or other shit, and it constantly just loops back, man. Like, that's how you beat the algorithm, by putting yourself in a position to work around it. So
yeah, that's a pretty good idea. I might actually start doing out these things. And I really do love doing these. I was going through Froud Abu, whatever. He's a bodybuilder. Yeah.
Froud?
No, Froud or whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
And I was looking through some of his podcasts. I was trying to kind of bounce off ideas and stuff that he does. In terms of like the way that he goes on about asking questions, he creates a conversation. And in a way, what he's doing is kind of the exact same thing as mine. But I don't think he generally like, I think he does dive in a little bit into like who the people are. Like he had Chris Asuto
I see that.
Watched Chris's podcast, and it was just great. I was like, okay, so just saying ask questions. I'm gonna try to get a little bit more better with this. Keep the questions going, keep people coming in, because generally I love to be able to have people express who they are. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be like some dude with like a lot of followers. You don't have to be famous or anything like that.
No.
You just have to be someone that's just willing to just kind of, if you're a guy, be vulnerable for an hour.
Yeah. You're not going to be the guy that's clout chasing. You want realness. I mean, fuck, I have like maybe 1,900 followers. You want real, dude. That's what you want to go behind the body. Eventually, we spoke about that. Like when you get big enough, you wouldn't mind covering those people. But I know you, and I feel like if you had like some famous person on your podcast and you were like trying to dive into them, and they were just like shallow and stupid, that would be like a 10, 15 minute podcast. Like, yeah, this was great. Like it wouldn't turn into it wouldn't be like a conversation like you and I. It would be like more of an interview, and you would just be like, this is fucking useless. Like I'm talking to a brick wall over here.
And that's why I don't have questions. I tried my best to just sit here, listen to what the person's saying, and then try to form. It's weird, but I feel like it's a lot of work in my head because like I'm trying to listen to everything that you're saying, and also trying to create and formulate a question based on everything that you're saying at the same time while you're saying everything you're saying, plus listening to you, and then trying to like think of the next question. It's just like it's a lot.
You're gonna get better, but I mean it's also. It's so funny that like the amount of conversations you and I have had, and we're like, "Fuck, dude, we should have recorded that."
Yeah.
But it's good. It's good that you and I can do those type of things because it's also it's practice for you, dude. It's keeping you on your toes.
Well, it actually brought me to my other idea that I was thinking of. I think if you're ever free during the week, we're gonna have one of these weekly podcasts where we're basically just gonna
bullshit.
No, we're basically just going to help people.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to help people in terms of like confidence, discipline, and motivation. Just have these discussions about certain topics, like anything. Like, let's say, if you want to get a girlfriend and stuff like that. If you feel like you can't go to the gym, you can't do this. If you feel like you can't eat or whatever, like, if you feel like your life.
Dude, sign me up because it's something like I've had so many people ask me to do like a podcast or even a YouTube, and I'm like, man, it's a lot of work considering like what I have going on in my life. But dude, I am so 100% down if it's like, not to sound like a dick, you doing most of the work and like me just being able to be there and speak. I will say that like, yeah, I'm only 33, but I have a lot of experience and
it gives you a lot of practice towards what you do in the future.
Yeah, exactly, man.
With that said, that should be great. Greatly appreciate. We kind of did. I kept on saying like, yeah, we're gonna be done after this episode, but now. But yeah, I can't wait to post this. So thank you for greatly appreciated.
Yeah, man. Thank you.